At first at 4:30, a recent New Age study found avian malaria is widespread among native birds. The disease is transmitted by mosquitoes, and now the focus turns to what's being done to control them. Raquel Kahlo has the details.
Stopping mosquitoes sounds simple, but with mosquitoes now threatening native birds at even higher elevations, officials say personal prevention alone won't solve the problem.
There really is no benefit to mosquitoes being in our environment. From human health, absolutely not. They're invasive species, right? They spread diseases in animals.
The Department of Health says its vector control branch monitors mosquito populations and works to reduce breeding areas. But controlling them in remote, high-elevation forest remains a challenge.
One of our concerns is kind of this bigger topic of climate effects on the range of mosquitoes and how in the past birds could take refuge at higher elevations because the habitat and the environmental conditions were not conducive to having mosquitoes there.
But now, mosquitoes are on the move.
With climate changing and the habitat changing, even our upper elevation, the mosquitoes can spread to that upper area. And we have very limited traditional tools like pesticide, for instance, to handle it.
The research team found avian malaria at all but one of the 64 sites they tested statewide. The disease weakens birds by damaging their red blood cells, often leading to anemia, organ failure, and in some species, death. Controlling the mosquitoes is key to saving our birds.
Malaria needs mosquitoes in order to reproduce. It's not an option. So if we take the mosquitoes out of the picture, we take transmission out of the picture. And eventually new birds will be born that don't have malaria, and so we can beat this disease.
Researchers say the study helps explain why avian malaria is found in nearly all the same areas as mosquitoes and why new tools may be needed to protect Hawaii's native birds. The Department of Health is using metagenomics to analyze mosquito DNA and better understand their genetics, which could help guide future control efforts. Raquel Kahlo for Hawaii News Now.